And I realized this while speaking that it's good for you to actually be on time for your interviews because you should be there at least like 10 to 15 minutes before. And I haven't done this where I've been late to one before because I like to be on time for things. And you can also see if other people are there interviewing for the same role. You can also see like the environment and get comfortable in the environment, because if you're in a rush and you arrive at an interview, you then feel more of the pressure. And when you are doing an interview, it's good for you to at least look like you're not tired as well. So the first thing that I wanted to say is that when you are preparing for an interview, it is good for you to actually dress the part. And in this video, I'm not actually dressing the part, as you can see that I'm not dressing the part. Because when you dress the part, it looks like you've made effort and you'll have like more confidence when you're actually having an interview. The next thing that I wanted to say, when you are having an interview, it's good for you to ask questions, because this will also figure out if a company is right for you. Because if you ask questions such as what is their favorite part of working there, and also challenges that they may face, that will give them some time to think, while you also have some time to come up with any more questions that you have. And it's usually good to prepare at least more than one question. And I realized this while speaking that it's good for you to actually be on time for your interviews, because you should be there at least like 10 to 15 minutes before. And I haven't done this where I've been late to one before because I like to be on time for things. And you can also see if other people are there interviewing for the same role. You can also see like the environment and get comfortable in the environment, because if you're in a rush and you arrive at an interview, you then feel the pressure and it's not going to look good for the people that are seeing you rush. So it's good for you to arrive 10-15 minutes before. And when you are doing an interview, it's good for you to at least look like you're not tired as well. When it comes to interviews, it's really good for you to be honest about your age, your availability, and whether you can travel to the place. If it's a company that you haven't heard of, you then have to like Google map everywhere, and then you end up either being at the interview in the last minute or you end up not being there at all. And it's good for you to actually apply for companies which you hear of, and it's the preferred thing to do. It's a lot easier for you, it's a lot easier for everyone else around you as well. But if you end up choosing a company that you don't know and you can't avoid it, then it's good for you to actually do your research on the company as well. Figure out where it's located, figure out the type of services that they do. And it's good for you to apply for a role which you have relevant experience for. When you are preparing for an interview, it's really important for you to not be desperate for a job. It might be your only option, but it's good for you to not be desperate, because if you're desperate, you're then just going to talk really fast, you're just going to agree with everything they're saying in a conversation, and you're not fully acknowledging what is actually being said. And it's rushing as well. You're really overthinking before you actually go to the interview. That's why, if you can, avoid companies that you haven't heard of. But unless someone you know has told you about the company, then that's the only exception. So the key message of this video is to pick jobs that you see yourself working at, in terms of the services that they do. And you can base it on your values as well. If you like a work environment that's all over the place, that it's not organized, where you get the freedom to think, or if you're like a person that likes a bit of order as well, that it's good for you to have a mix of both. But if you want one or the other, it's good for you to look out for companies that do that. And in this video now, I'm going to end this video by saying my best and worst experiences while having an interview. So my best experience while having an interview was that I had relevant experience. I could travel to the company, and also I asked questions such as where their product's from. And because this company had like a new store opening, that was during that time that I ended up doing well in the interview because I asked where the products were from, and it led from one question to another. And I believe that term is when you ask open-ended questions, where you ask someone a question and then they end up talking for a really long time, and then they ask you a question as well. And yeah, my worst experience of having an interview was that I didn't have the relevant experience. And yeah, this is what I advise in this video, that you should apply for companies that you have relevant experience for. And yeah, normally jobs, they look for people that have certain skills, and then you should be able to have those skills right now, and then you can develop those skills. I think that's what they're looking for, because it's harder to train someone that doesn't have the skills, because it requires more time. And yeah, so my worst experience, just to recap while having an interview, is that I didn't really have the relevant experience, and when it came down to availability, I said that I could do something, and then it ended up being not what they wanted. So really, I think what I learned from it was just to be honest and to read what the company's looking for through the job description. Like, that's really important. Like, do not skip the job description, because it describes what you have to do in a role, and you need to be able to provide the availability that they're looking for, but also not to be desperate as well for the job.